And then I'll be sharing my screen. And you can either just listen in, or you can also watch your screen. We do have a presentation for you all, but either way, you'll get all the information that you need. So give me 1 second, and then I'll present. All right. Tyler, can you see my screen?
I can. Yep.
Perfect. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. I will give it to you.
Perfect. Well, thanks everyone for joining us and welcome to this information session for our Guatemala Advocates trip taking place from March 2nd to March 7th. We're going to keep this as short and sweet as possible, but also informative. And we'll finish at the latest by a little bit after maybe 4:30 p.m. Eastern. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tyler Wright, and I'm your trip coordinator for the trip in March. I'm also the director of program development at Project Alianza and have been with the organization since 2018. Over the years, I've had the privilege of hosting several trips and dozens of travelers throughout Central America. I also have had the fortune of being able to explore the region extensively on my own, and have been living in Guatemala for a little bit over almost 3 years now. And after launching our first project in Guatemala in 2021, we're thrilled to be hosting some of our board members and figurative stakeholders for the first time in the country. And also, as you see on this information session, is Missy Lopez, my colleague, who will be sharing more details about the trip.
Hi, everyone. I know that I've met some of you before in some of our past online events that we've had. Like Tyler said, my name is Misty. I am the communications manager for Project Alianza, and I primarily support Tyler with all of the coordination and logistics for this trip. So I'm going to be happy to talk to you today and talk a little bit more about what we're going to be doing day to day, an add-on that we'll have if you're interested in volcano hiking. But similar to Tyler, I'm from the States, and I've been living in Guatemala for almost 5 years now. My background is Mexican American, so I'm very familiar with visiting Latin America throughout my life. And I decided to take the plunge and move to Guatemala. And yeah, so today, just really excited to share more about, the purpose of our trip to Guatemala. I've had the pleasure of visiting the communities that we work with in Nicaragua. And now, for the first time, we're super excited to bring people to where we're expanding in Guatemala.
So I'll share a little bit more about costs, what's included in that. So for the advocates portion from March 2nd to March 7th, it'll be 2050 or $2,050. Flights aren't included in that cost, but it does cover all your lodging, transportation, and meals. So you don't have to worry about anything once you arrive. There is an opportunity to add our unique and special volcano hiking experience to your trip for 1,200. We'll be climbing the Acatenango volcano, camping the night up there across from the active Fuego volcano, and hiking back before heading home on March 10th. This is truly a once in a lifetime experience. I personally have done it 3 times now. I know Misty has done it as well a few times, and I recommend it to anyone who's willing and ready for an adventure who's coming to Guatemala. It is a strenuous hike, but I really think it's doable for most of us with maybe a little bit of training and preparation. And as Misty was touching on, all proceeds are benefiting students in our Guatemalan programs, who some of them you'll be meeting during the trip from the 2nd to the 7th. And Misty will be now touching more what's included on both the Advocates trip and the volcano hike.
Yes. And then a little bit later on, we'll also share some options if some of you have company matching available in your places of work. So we do have some different options to try and get you a discount so we can try to get you to Guatemala. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about what's included. And so really we handle almost everything. So just repeating a little bit of what Tyler mentioned earlier is the flight is not included in and out of Guatemala, but once you land in Guatemala, we manage all of the transportation. We will be traveling through different departments around the country. And that includes all of your meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all of your lodging. And we'll be staying in very nice hotels. And we'll also have some different activities for you. And that includes kayaking in Lake Atitlan. That's actually where I live, so I have a lot of experience with it. And we'll also yeah, be touring a local village called San Juan La Laguna, which is across the lake. So we do take a small little motorboat to get across the lake. Very safe, perfectly fine, but it is one of the more famous towns around the lake, which is absolutely beautiful. And at the same time, if you don't speak Spanish, that's 100% okay. We will have a full-time guide and translator with you the whole time. That's Tyler. So his time is definitely included, and his support will be included the entire time of your stay. Um, so yeah, that's essentially what we have for you in the 6 days and 5 nights that you'll be with us in Guatemala. And then if you choose to extend your stay for the volcano hike, which we'll cover into even more detail later, then it'll cover those meals and lodging and activity as well.
And so I'll kind of piggyback some of that on kind of giving just a quick overview of our itinerary for from the 2nd to the 7th. So day one is going to be a Saturday, and everyone's going to be arriving at La Aurora Airport in Guatemala City. So if you're looking for flights, look for La Aurora. And that night, that day will be kind of flex until that night. We'll have a dinner all together in Guatemala City at 6:30 p.m. And that next morning, we'll drive over all together to the village of Los Verdes near Fraijanes. That was our first project that we started in 2021. We have over 50 families that we work there and a community mentor that are really excited to host and do activities with you all. So we'll go there on day two, and then we'll be traveling to another town that actually I live in. It's a UNESCO World Origin Site called Antigua Guatemala. It's famous for its colonial architecture and its cobblestone streets. And we'll stay there for the night. And the next morning, we'll be doing another community visit to the nearby department of Chimaltenango that we started some projects this year. And we're working with some really impressive women that are mentors and are also involved in our Ongo learning app that they develop content for us that we use in the app. So you'll get to meet the women that really are leading our programs in the rural communities, but also get to connect with students that have been continuing their educational journey with us at Project Alianza. And so we'll have a couple nights in Antigua, and then we're going to go to, as Missy mentioned, where she lives in the beautiful Lake Atitlan. I like to say it's like one of the things that really makes Guatemala special is this huge volcanic crater lake. If you've seen pictures from Guatemala, it's probably from this lake. It's really beautiful, and we'll spend some time there. Yeah, kind of basking in the nature, but also engaging with the local communities. There's 7 languages spoken in communities surrounding the lake. It's really kind of a hub of indigenous culture in Guatemala. So for us visiting Guatemala, it's really an opportunity to engage with a different Guatemala than you're probably going to see in like Guatemala City is like one flavor, and then what you'll see in the rural areas is another. And then on the last day, we'll head back towards Antigua. So it's kind of on our way back to Guatemala City. And it'll be a flex day to kind of enjoy the sights and really kind of reflect on the time that we had shared in the previous days and the communities and the villages that we visited. And then the next day, if you're on the volcano hike, you'll hang tight here in Antigua. But if you're flying home, we'll make sure you have transportation to the airport so that you're all ready to fly home. And speaking of the volcano hike, Misty has a few more details about what those days look like.
Yeah. All right. So, as Tyler was mentioning, to continue the itinerary, if you decide to stay, then on the 7th, that would count as just a nice rest day for you because on the 8th, that's when we will be hiking Volcano Acatenango. And just to give a little bit of background, and I will say that if you are interested in the hike, we have an entire document where it absolutely gives you every single detail about the hike so that you are 100% prepared before and during and after the hike. So, but a little bit of background, Volcano Acatenango is, I would say, one of the most, if not the most popular volcano in Guatemala, where we actually have 37 in the country. And Volcano Acatenango is not the one that you see pictured, but it is the one that you will see once you are on Volcano Acatenango. So what you do is you hike Volcano Acatenango. It typically takes about 5+ hours. Really, it really depends on the person. I would say 5 to 7 hours, and it's at your own pace. We will be there. We have a local guide as well. It's being led by a really great brand ambassador for Project Alianza. Her name is Kim Escalante. She was born and raised at Lake Atitlan, actually, but now she lives in the city, and she's an incredible human being. She has recently set the record for summiting all 37 volcanoes in 12 days as trail running. So not many people really, know about her, but she has such a strong stance for women and for girls' education in Guatemala. So we are just so honored that she has volunteered to really lead us up Volcano Acatenango and watch Fuego volcano erupt in front of your eyes. So it's really a very special opportunity. Not only is it a very common and safe volcano to hike, but at the same time, it's going to be absolutely, I would say, I've climbed Acatenango about 4 times now, and with Tyler once actually, and then we also decided you can take the plunge and hike this volcano to Fuego, and we did that as well, and it was absolutely incredible. And that does have its risks, so we will share that information afterwards as well. Um, but yeah, it's, aside from it, being in dedication to girls' education, it's really such an empowering, accomplishment for yourself. The hike is not easy. I will say it's hard, but I know it is 100% doable. I have seen people from all walks of life do this volcano every single time I've gone. And we'll be with you every step of the way. We'll also have, like I said, a local agency with us if you absolutely need anything. And if you need some support, there is support to help you carry your backpack up there because we will be camping overnight. So that means we're carrying our own water, our own food, your hiking clothing. You will be staying in a nice wooden lodge overnight, so you don't need to carry your own sleeping bag or anything. So it's going to be nice and toasty up there. We just do always recommend to have all of your warm layers with you because it does get quite chilly up there. Um, so yeah, I will be sending more information for anyone who is interested on the volcano, but 100%, I absolutely recommend this hike. It's going to be a great addition. And then after we hike down, we'll celebrate together with a great dinner and a lot of rest.
Yeah, and to piggyback that real quick, there was to speak to that, there was a woman when Misty, me, and another colleague of ours, some of you might know, Adeline, when we did the hike, there was a woman that was definitely over the age of 60, and she was just hilarious, just like Irish woman with a ton of personality. That I was at first like, I don't know if she's gonna make it, but she made it to camp. I was incredibly impressed. So it really kind of nailed in that it's a completely doable. Just drink a lot of water and bring some good boots. And speaking of what to bring, we'll send you a complete list of the tangible items that you should bring once you commit to the trip. And we're just dotting our I's, crossing our T's for this list. So those of you on this call that thank you for yeah, you've already committed and signed up for the trip, we'll be sending that over to you shortly. But we have a list that we've already developed, and but some things that are going to be on there is like yeah, like shoes that are very comfortable for walking, sunglasses, hats, sunblock, etc. But the list isn't exhaustive, so you can adjust it to what you need. Um, but the most important things is like your passport, and if you're good at making balloon animals, your talent is always welcomed. I've been doing these trips for 7 years now, and I still, I'm going to commit to it this time. I'm going to at least learn how to make a sword out
I
of
still
balloon
can't
animals.
either. Yeah.
No, like I just feel bad every single time. But like our board member Chris, he learned, and now he's like the favorite when we go to a village or community because they know that Chris is gonna provide the dogs or swords, etc. But yeah, most of all though, what we ask that you bring flexibility, that you bring curiosity. Everyone here is so eager and interested in meeting you. And so, bringing that positive energy from where you come from as well is going to make this like a great experience for
Hmm.
everyone.
Yep. And I'll piggyback off of you, Tyler. So, along with flexibility, I think really comes an open mind. I remember when I first came here from the States, I mean, it's another world, really. There are a lot of definitely things in common now that I've lived here for a while with, the States, but it's a whole nother world. So things just function a little bit differently here. Tyler and I know the ins and outs of how to, manage everything across Guatemala. So we have all of you covered when you're here. But at the same time, I think that it takes a certain kind of person um, to travel, to really be open-minded, to be culturally empathetic and understand that things just work a little bit differently and that's okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for everyone to come along and for us to show you what such a beautiful culture, people, country this really is.
And
All
so
right.
the
Go ahead.
real
Yeah.
quick, I'll go ahead and touch on how you can claim your spot for the trip. We'll ask that you RSVP by February 1st with a $600 deposit.
Mhm.
And then if you're going to be doing the hike and the trip, we're going to ask for $1,000 deposit so we can finish off making bookings and get hotels. And, in some places they require a little bit up front. So that helps us cover that cost. And also for when we're going to be reserving with a hiking agency. And we're going to be asking for the full payment to be turned into us by the trip date on March 2nd. And after the session, for anyone that was here today, we'll send you over a full guide that if you had any other pressing questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, this includes all the information about like if you want to get. I know the first time I actually met Project Alianza through one of these trips over about almost exactly 7 years ago now. And I, for example, got like trip insurance for that trip. I'd never been in Nicaragua before, so I needed a packing list. And the last thing is like we will also kind of cover if there's any reason that you need to cancel, what our policy is for that. And we'll also just have a general itinerary. I know we went through an overview of that a little bit earlier, but just so you can have it in your hands. We'll have some written out for you. And yeah, sorry I interrupted you, Misty. You had one more thing you wanted to add.
Oh, yes. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the entry into Guatemala, and some of the discount options to get here as well. So talking a little bit more about your passport and your entry. So most of the travelers I say we've had are from the U.S. And what's good news is that you do need a valid passport, of course. It needs 6 months validity. And ideally, one page that is empty in your passport is required for entry. And you do not need any kind of pre-visa before arrival. Once you arrive, you are going to be given a 90 days tourist visa. So that's going to be stamped into your passport once you get here. So there's nothing that you really need to do as far as the visa goes before your arrival. So that's going to be pretty easy for you. And if you have a passport from a different country, then in my follow-up email, I'll also share with you maybe if there are any visa requirements, you will be able to see that, so we can make sure that you enter without a problem, and we're always happy to help you along the way with that. And how I mentioned earlier is that, if you do need support with, affording the fee to come on this trip with us, if your so many companies have a donation matching program. So, for instance, if you work at Microsoft, for example, I know they have a company matching program. If an employee donates $50 and you input it into their donation system, then Microsoft will match that and also donate $50. So we accept that as well. So the price of this trip is a donation because everything is being fed back into our social programs here in Guatemala. So if you were to donate, let's say half of the trip cost, so I believe it'd be 1,025. If you donate that and Microsoft or your company place of work can match that, then you get this trip for essentially half of the original price. So I would suggest, check with your company of what opportunities might be available. Yeah, and then we can also, if you need any kind of documentation sent over to your place of work, we're happy to provide that too. All right. All right, so now if anyone has any questions, I'm going to try to see if any have popped up. Give me 1 second. Sometimes Zoom just doesn't want to work with me. Yep.
But if any questions do come up, yeah, feel free to write them in the Q&A right here, or email us directly if you want a written response from us, or we're happy to, jump on a quick call. My WhatsApp number I'll drop here. I'm always happy to talk. And will there be someone to pick us up after landing? Yes, good question. There will be. We'll have somebody there will be there with a sign, ready to pick you up at the airport. It's a relatively small airport compared to a lot of US ones or large international ones. But basically, you'll land and you'll actually be on this like walkway above where all of the departures are, and you'll walk down, and actually the customs form that you'll be giving in to the agent is digital. So, but there's like free Wi-Fi and like a QR scan to get that to fill out the customs form when you arrive. And but then you'll go through the line just to get your passport stamped. If they have any questions, they might just ask what are you doing? You can just say that you're traveling, you're a tourist here for a week or so in Guatemala, and they don't usually ask very many questions. And like Misty said, they're not going to ask for any sort. There's not any cost to the 90-day visa, so you don't need to have any cash on hand or anything. And then it'll be kind of suitcase retrieval if you checked any bags. And then the last section before you leave the airport is just they might scan your bag for customs to see if you're any fruit or checking to see if you're trying to bring in products to sell. But it's all pretty straightforward in terms of like relative to other countries. It's a really pain-free experience, pretty quick. It's like I've heard for somebody it's an hour. Most often it's about 20 to 30 minutes. And so when you come through those doors, you can go either left or right. And we'll just kind of have everybody, I'll send a reminder a little bit before you arrive, but we'll just have everybody go left, and we'll have somebody there with a sign waiting for you on that day, Saturday, March 2nd. And they'll take you in the taxi to the hotel, and the hotel's like, depending on traffic, but with no traffic, it's 10 minutes. I'm guessing it's probably max 20 minutes. It's a short drive. and we'll be waiting for you there. But yeah, somebody will be there to take care of you.
Mhm. All right. Well, while we can wait a couple more minutes to see if any more questions come in. And I'll add something that's really not about logistics, but it'll give some context as well. I recently did, um, I held a couple of just interviews with some of travelers that we had visit us in Nicaragua last year. And I just asked them a couple of questions, what were some things that maybe you were wondering about before you arrived? What were you surprised to learn when you arrived? And one thing that I really resonated with was so one traveler, she shared with me that she was a little bit nervous about meeting the students. She doesn't speak Spanish, and she told me that she's a little bit more introverted, and I lean more towards introversion too. And then she said she was pleasantly surprised, and I was as well when I visited Nicaragua a few years ago, that it doesn't matter. The children are absolutely the most talkative, vibrant children I've ever met. Everyone's really easy to talk to. So whether we're breaking a piñata or we're face painting or we're just hanging around talking to each other, they're very open. And so we can also facilitate that, translation process too. I would suggest, maybe if you are not fluent in Spanish, just try to learn a few words to try to get by just a little bit on your own. Like I said, we'll be there to facilitate any conversations, but it always, I think, is an added value for the traveler to know a few words to be able to have a nice, just more personal conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an opportunity to, in these next couple of months, maybe to reinstall your Duolingo. Just do your 10, 15 minutes a day. By the way, co-founder is Guatemalan.
Yes.
And I'm actually on there right now trying to get my Spanish up to that next level, learn a few more vocab words. So yeah, you should. Like Missy says, a good opportunity. Kids find are like really or Guatemalans appreciate when somebody else is trying to learn their, and so that will, you'll get some momentum in a conversation, just, practicing the few words.
Yeah. And we did have another question come in, and it says, should we prepare some local currency before the trip or exchange it after we arrive? If so, how much would you recommend? That's a really good question.
Yeah, what I usually do, so the local currency is quetzales. It's about 8 quetzales per dollar. If you're looking to save or to try and not spend much, I would think of it as like uh, um, 5 quetzales per dollar, right? And then
Mm,
if you're looking to no, the other way around, 10 quetzales per dollar, or you can round it to five. But basically the way you can get quetzales is, sure, you can bring US cash to exchange. It's available to the airport. You can also do it at a bank. The easiest way to get cash is through ATMs. There are a couple at the airport when we get there. There'll be a couple nearby at the hotel that we're staying at in Guatemala City. And I would say like $200 worth of cash would be more than enough. I would say even like 500 or 1,000 quetzales, which is like $60, $130 or so,
mm,
is going to be enough for you. And we're going to be around areas that if you need to get more, you can. But
mm.
that's a good question that, the easiest way to do it is through an ATM. But if you prefer exchange, there are just maybe even just let us know before you arrive that you're looking to do an exchange, and then we can point you to the best place to do it. But if you wanted to have some cash on hand right away, they do have it at the La Lora airport.
Yeah, I would say it wouldn't hurt. So once you arrive and you have some dollars, you'll see it. It's just you'll see the stand. It says, I think it says like it's exchange in big words, and a lot of people will be there, trying to exchange their dollars as well. So I would say, even if you have $20, just for your arrival, just in case. I would say go ahead and exchange that into quetzales. And I mean, we'll have you covered for the transportation to get to your hotel. But I don't know, maybe, you feel like a snack or something. There's a cafe, right when you at the exit of the airport. So maybe you're just really want a snack or want a coffee. You can go ahead and get that right there. They also accept card, so you could do that too. But I always like to go a little bit prepared. And just, yeah, just like Tyler said, if you need even more cash, yeah, there are plenty of ATMs in Guatemala City, in Antigua, where we'll be as well, and even here at the lake. So they're planning to go around, and we'll make sure to do some stops so you can all have just extra cash on hand.
Hmm. And yeah, I saw Rachel's comment in the Q&A. She says that exchange rate is better from banks versus exchange places, which is absolutely true. So if you do go to the airport, yeah, I would do
Yeah,
max like maybe $20, but like at ATMs and banks, there
yeah,
are some that are better than others. So like even when you're here with us, there's even some ATMs that I live here, and so my bank account's in the States as well. So when I go to an ATM, I'm taking from a U.S. bank account. So there are some ATMs that I avoid because they
bigger
not
fees.
as friendly exchange rates as
Yeah.
others. So I'll be here to provide guidance there.
Yeah. And I will say that too. So I also have a US bank account, and I used to go and withdraw from a bank. It's just a little bit of a longer process. I mean, there is an easy app that we can show you where you can easily transfer yourself money, withdraw cash. But typically there's a long line sometimes. And yeah, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer. So it really depends on how much effort you want to go through. Some days I don't mind waiting in a line, and some days I just really want to go. I just go to the ATM and withdraw.
Any last questions or comments or anything before we close here?
All right. Well, I think you could wrap it up, Tyler, if you want to maybe just share, if people have any questions, maybe they can email you, call you.
Yeah, absolutely. So please be in touch over email or I'll send over my WhatsApp number here right now. And I'm so excited for some of you that have already committed that will be joining us. And like I said, this was how I engaged with Project Alianza for the first time 7 years ago. So I really take these trips to heart. I think it's a really great opportunity for cultural exchange for people from different parts of the world as visitors, but also Guatemalans here to have cross-cultural exchange, to learn about each other. And but also it's an opportunity for you all as our supporters to be able to see kind of what's going on down here and for you to even kind of further immerse into what we're doing at Project Alianza. So again, thanks for your time today. I know you all have a lot going on, so we appreciate it. And please be in touch. And please remember that the dates we're looking for commitment by February 1st with a deposit of $600. And in the email that we'll be sending over afterwards, will show you how to send over that deposit of either through PayPal or QGive, or if you have another preferred way of sending that over. And yeah, we'll have other final details in that guide. So thanks again, and look forward to seeing everyone down here.
Yes, see you here in March.